Welcome to Bogside Chats, where we're talking everything DeFi Kingdoms and keeping it casual. My name is Matty Pesk. Tonight, I am exclusively joined by Guy Kid. Guy, how are you, bud?
Well, exclusively is not the right
Yeah, maybe that's the wrong
terminology,
word. That's the
but
wrand word. I meant amongst the Bogside boys. I'm
yes,
exclusively
exactly.
joined by Guy Kid.
But I'm doing well.
Very good. Franz cannot make it, unfortunately. However, we did snag the PvP expert himself, Wowee, to join us. Wowee, how we doing?
What is good, guys? I'm so happy to be here again. It's one of my favorite shows to appear on. I don't want anyone to get jealous about that, but I mean, the vibe here is just like so, like, let's just sit back, relax,
Keeping
and
it
let's talk
casual.
about some hard
Yeah.
math. Like,
Let's talk about equations and formulas, but casually.
Right.
but yeah, no, I'm glad to be here.
Math. We'll approximate when it gets down to the actual numbers because we all know we can't actually.
I cannot do math, actually. Yeah, I cannot.
I have 3 calculators in my hands right now.
Simultaneously. I'm very glad to have you on. If those viewing do not know, I went on Wowee's stream last night on his Twitch stream, and we were privileged enough to have Hubert and Workhorse on, and we got like tons of info and alpha from them. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later, breaking down kind of like every little word that they said, obviously.
There was a point I had hopped in. I swear Hubert said yes, and you were like, Alpha! Like literally he said like the forest or like something absolutely nothing. Oh yeah, that's definitely an alpha leak.
100%. Yeah, multiple times. Yeah. So we'll break all that down, and then also, well, iOS code calling it out here in the chat. We were going to talk about this a little bit later, but I do want to mention it right now. Franz is out celebrating, actually, because he was the first to beat the final boss in Dragon's Crossing. So we'll touch on that. A little bit later, but yes, he did win, and this is his celebratory stream where he bailed.
Never to be mentioned again.
Right. All right, so we'll get into the Wowee stream stuff in a little bit. I do want to first talk about some of the AMA from last Thursday. So not that it's repetitive, but it is repetitive. One of the first questions, like up top, they asked the team was like, how are you guys building or dealing with the bear market? And I feel like this question gets asked every AMA, and like Frisky answered, as he always does, is like, we're building. And I'm like, Great, love it. I understand it's stressful, it's tough. I mean,
I think there's, if you followed enough crypto projects over the last year, I feel like you don't go a month without hearing someone else kind of abandoning their project and closing up shop.
Fair.
So yeah. I think that's top of mind for a lot of people. And it's just trying to maintain the pulse that that's not where DFK is.
No, yeah, I think they've been clear and have communicated that like they're building through the bear market, and like they are like whatever the charts are doing, they don't care, and they're going to keep like building the game out. I don't know. I feel like this is discussed at like almost every AMA.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think last week they added a little more color too, of like really just highlighting like the core team has made sacrifices. A lot of these people aren't collecting a consistent paycheck. Some people are on like a contractor schedule where DFK isn't their full-time job because they can't afford for it to be their full-time job.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that allows them to extend their runway, which allows them to build at the pace that's appropriate for the project.
No question. And like Frisky especially, we know for sure, has gone through periods where he has not taken home a paycheck, which is like insane. So like that is happening, and like props to the team. You guys are amazing. And also too, like I said, we're going to talk about the stuff from Wowee stream in a little bit, but like also like that's just like super reassuring hearing from like Workhorse and Hubert, the excitement and like the level of detail that they are paying attention to this. Like I'm still all in, you know, because like the more I hear from them, I'm just like the more excited I am. So
yeah,
Wowee, did you listen to the AMA? Did you hear any of this?
Oh yeah, I usually try to get into every AMA that I possibly can. I mean, I'm sure everyone's in the same boat of like I can't get to every single one of them. But I did catch last week's. It was a short one. It was a really short one. I don't even think they made it to like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, when Frisky got asked how are we building in the bear market, like how's sentiment, and like how are we building in the bear market? We are building
exactly,
in the bear. Like we're just building in the bear market. That's what we're doing.
No, I think these guys are unfettered. Is that the right word? Unfazed is better. These guys are unfazed by like market trends and stuff, like they don't care what the charts look like. They're gonna keep making the game they want to make. So I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah, and to add on from like what Hubert and Workhorse were talking about yesterday, like, whenever we hear the AMA, it was like, we've got a bunch of stuff coming. Soon TM. We're gonna slap the crypto soon on it. But when you hear like Workhorse and Hubert like get going, and like actually there is some really good juicy stuff out there, and we really want to say it, and it's physically paining and straining to not be allowed to.
Right.
Like that gets me really excited.
No, totally. I think like especially last night like proved it. Like these guys are just nerds like us, and they want to get this out there, and they want to play this game with us, as soon as possible.
Yeah. I don't think you lasted an hour before anime recommendations came up.
I felt like I had to break up I had to break it up before we got too involved.
Well, well, again, we'll talk about it in a minute, but like near the end when I knew the time was like running out, I was like, I just got to ask. I just like tried for alpha, like with a bunch of like random questions. But yeah, we'll get into that. But before, all right, so they answered that question about building, and I think, I trust the team. There was an interesting, so like you said, it was very short, so there was not a lot going on in the AMA, but there was really one interesting question that I do want to discuss with you guys. And this is something that's been brought up in the past, and that I've been pretty adamant about, and I'm going to stick to that too. The question came up about like dormant or abandoned lands. These NFTs that is a major function of this game, hypothetically, that the owners either forgot, don't know they have it, or have abandoned it, what have you, and they're just like, they're going to sit there empty with no one touching it. What is going to happen to them? Does the team have any plans on interfering, or maybe that's the wrong word, or interacting with these abandoned lands?
Overreaching.
I before we get into the discussion, I do just want to say, and I've been pretty strongly for this. They're dead, in my opinion. The lands are dead. If they are abandoned, they should lie dormant forever. Like that is the beauty of blockchain, of a decentralized world, where if somebody abandons it, I think the same thing goes for heroes too. If there's heroes that are left behind in Harmony that are like left behind and nobody touches them again, they are dead and gone. And I do not want the team interfering as like a god coming in and like revitalizing whatever it is. Like they are dead and gone in my mind, and I really don't want anything to happen. And I know maybe that's not like the general opinion, but like I just want those lands to be deserted forever.
Yeah. Well, so it's how much player interaction and player decision will be determined by the development of land. Will there be PvE mentality, and will there be kind of default land mechanics that every single piece of land will have? There could be something like that in the case that the most powerful and the most profitable land will be the ones that are active players enhancing and improving that. But I could see there being like not the extreme aspect of it, of like dormant can't do anything on it versus
maybe some
like
default
level
like
0,
all
level
lands
1
have this like one default function
that
is available, even if the user who owns it is active or not. It has a default whatever.
Right.
I think you can actually throw in a negative upkeep to land. So here's how I see the potential of abandoned land being taken care of. Right, land in general, it's incredibly valuable if you build it up. You get the resources funneled in. You get, you know, whatever buildings you need to have get built, whatever stalls for economy, whatever kind of like professions are near or resources are near you. Like it's built up for that specifically. And the more people that are putting into the system, the bigger and better the land gets.
Right.
I think the opposite should be true. The longer it sits and does nothing, the more wild it becomes. And now you still have your asset, right? Like I invested or I won the raffle and I still have an asset, but now I've got wild land and I can't take care of it myself anymore. I need people to come in, kill the monsters on the land, clear out all the stuff that's there in order to bring it back if that's what I want to do.
I mean,
it would devalue the asset technically because it's not just a ready build, but it gives the asset much more complexity in terms of like, you know, if you upkeep it, it's incredible and you can grow the value of it yourself if you maintain it.
I like that, but I mean, and I think you're I like this idea a lot, and I think you're on board with the idea of like if no one ever comes back to claim it, it will just get so overrun and like nothing will ever happen on the land, right?
Yeah, create starter zones for us.
Yeah.
Create like a hostile zone, or could there be any kind of perk to owning land and quote unquote not doing anything with it? Could you be like the landowner of the quote unquote Goblin Fortress or whatever that you literally did nothing to your land? And now it's like head of hostile armies. Right. Maybe there's some minor benefit to you being that landowner of that area.
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting. The idea of like, I think there's a difference between land where someone's being lazy and not doing anything, and land where literally the person is like there is 0% chance that they're ever going to come back to this land. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because I really do like this idea of like it getting overgrown and then you come back and like you can hire out heroes to like weed whack for you, you know, right. Like I really do like that. And then, maybe there's a benefit of being the like slumlord who owns all these wild lands, you know, that have no growth on them. But the abandoned,
harder to collect stuff.
Like the completely abandoned lands, I hope they don't like do some sort of god mode and like refresh them. You know what I mean? Like I really hope that those just die totally. You know, I don't know, because I feel like that's part of like blockchain and what we're doing here is like we're giving out assets, and if people fuck up with those assets, so be it. You know, that like that's kind of
right. We're all here building in the bear. Are they?
Right, yeah.
Or are they getting overgrown?
Exactly, yeah. Like, and see, even then, so Wowee, so I guess play it out to the end game. If no one ever touches the land, it becomes so overgrown that it then becomes default wildland. I mean,
I think that would be a cool idea, but it would, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the whole point of blockchain, like NFTs, I own this, means that it can never be forcefully annexed, I suppose, by like DFK ever again. Like Kingdom Studios can never just go, that hasn't been used for 3 years. Exactly. We're just going to reprogram over that, right? I think that's a really difficult concept to like justify. Yeah. Because I mean, the line starts to blur at that point. Yeah. So I think having a system that, you know, you still get to keep your asset, but it gets worse if you don't do anything to it. And like people can't like travel through it safely, or like it can make things more interesting for the people involved, right?
Yeah.
And for the people not involved, it just, I mean, say you want to come back and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot, I got land at DFK and jewels at like $150, right? And it's just like, I forgot I'm a millionaire, right? Yeah. And they go up to sell their land, like
forgot,
right? And they go up to sell their land, like I'm gonna get my quick million, and they're like, oh wait, undeveloped land goes for basically nothing.
Yeah.
Because it takes so much work
to
get it to something useful.
Yeah, that's a super interesting idea. I really like that. And also too, that whole like market then of like what heroes are good at weed whacking, literally. Like who you know,
I would assume all kinds of
whatever.
All kinds of resources would be in wild land. And if no one's there to stop you
yeah.
from like taking it, like say there is like a goblin fortress that like it is presiding over the land. It's now a PvE area, and like maybe I own the land, but I can't collect a toll for people moving through it.
So
you know what I mean?
cool.
The goblins
of, like,
own
marketing, like, hey, I need this cleared from my land.
Imagine
I will pay X amount, right? Yeah.
Or if there is some kind of like wildlife progression aspect of maybe only certain items are available at this certain kind of like dormancy rate or whatever. Of you can see almost like a foraging and a fishing path versus the crafting path that every landowner should theoretically be going down.
Like you need foragers and fishers to come in and hit the whatever bar, get to whatever progression level, then you can start building stuff on your land.
Like a certain level of wildness or whatever, if you will.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's super fun. And I mean, I don't know, and Wowee, I think you agree with this. Like, if the key thing is that the owner does come back at some point.
Right. I mean, that is the expectation.
Yeah.
But like, if they never come back at any point, like, we still got to be able to use it. Like, there's a ton of plots of lands. We got to be able to move through it, right?
Yeah, I guess. And I think I'm fine with the idea of like if it's overgrown, so now traveling through it is it's harder.
Right.
Whether that's more money, more like
20% increased
stamina,
travel time, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Time. But I never want it to be a scenario where Kingdom Studios steps in and is like, okay, now we're in control of the land. I don't think anybody wants that,
I mean, I kind of do at some point. I mean, like, in real life, right? If a house is just sitting there abandoned forever, it's just like, well, we got to take that back. Like, the only thing this is inviting is, squatters and ne'er-do-wells to just occupy a vacant building. We got to take it back and probably build it back up, and then we can resell it in an auction. But
this actually, I haven't seen him in the chat, but Stick's intern and I could have an interesting conversation about this.
I'd love this.
About
who has rights to the land.
Yeah. And
where's the easement?
Reverse possession, or adverse possession of an NFT land is a super fucking fun legal idea. Right? Anyways,
I think that's actually really worth exploring, because
like, how do you squat on the land though? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like everybody would want to. Like, there wouldn't be able to be like one individual who's
it would
squatting
almost
on
become
it.
a game mechanic.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, do I personally have the resources to just like come in and occupy it myself?
Well, yeah, you'd have to. So it'd be like King of the Hill to like have it like be like a combat. It's a combat King of the Hill, and if you can hold the hill for X amount of time,
or until somebody else knocks you out.
Yeah. Well, no. Like, and then you get squatters' rights. So you have to hold it. You have to hold the hill for like an insane amount of time to get the squatters' rights even activated, and then to get it actually to go over to you, you have to win the King of the Hill and then hold it for like a long period of time, which would be like wild.
And then I come back after 5 years, see a bunch of people who've been just like using my land without my permission, and I go, well, how do I evict them?
Yeah. See, that's the hardest part, is like when the actual owners come back.
Yeah, because I think I can't remember what exactly the law is like in America, but like any land within our territory is able to be taken back by the federal government at a moment's notice under like
eminent domain.
wartime. Eminent domain. Yeah.
But isn't that why we have blockchain and NFTs?
Exactly. I mean, this defeats that. And like eminent domain, there is a thin line. It's very thin, of like justification that the government has to have, but like, trust me, it's very thin, and like they get away with a lot there. But there is some sort of like, there has to be a reason why, whether it's like a we're building a municipal building here, or otherwise, we're doing some sort of government project or land conservation or something like that. Like, usually there's like a thin line of justification you have to have. And in the world of blockchain, I struggle to find the justification for taking away someone's NFT. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
like the eminent domain. Again, I would love to talk to Six Intern about this, like, because like eminent domain, you have to have that justification. And again, it's very thin, but
he heard you, by the way.
Speak of the bloater.
I think it's hard to say in the blockchain world what justifies taking away an NFT like that. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a topic that could keep going on forever.
Yeah,
I think we've hit it. I really like the wildlife idea, Wowee.
Because I really think you could do a whole gathering profession level up of the land.
Right.
I think that could be the path.
That'd be super cool.
And you could even have like small, like that could be the low maintenance land where like the core crafting buildings could be expensive to maintain and more things you need to do, but the wildlife progression could be more of a hands-off thing, and if you literally do nothing, that could be something.
SI, we have to talk about that. Maybe I'll show up in office hours tomorrow.
And I will be in the chat. Hard style.
Right. I think there's a lot more there. I really like this idea, and I think the team is aware of this stuff. Of like, I don't think the team wants to be the god hands coming down.
Well, you heard Hubert's immediate reaction was
that,
like, they basically said they may have to do some kind of like barren oversee aspect to like have someone else kind of maintain it. But you can hear the hesitancy in his voice.
No, I know. He's definitely aware of like this idea of like messing with the decentral kind of aspect of it. So I don't know. Oh, it looks like Six Intern is in trial tomorrow, so maybe we'll be chatting about it.
I mean, if we're looking for a pretty swifty transition here, I did see a comment by Blockchain Player 1 who does have a pretty interesting question.
Hold on, in our chat here?
Yes. Yeah. Scroll up just a little bit.
I'll get it up here. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. So this is a good segue. We're going to segue into talking about Wowee stream and PvP. Let's start here, though. I don't think Second Life is OP.
I do.
Well, all right. Let's rewind a little bit here. And actually, this is something I want to talk about. So yesterday, Wowee had Hubert and Workhorse on his stream. I got to join them. It was super fun. We chatted about a lot of things. We talked about like Monk very specifically that I want to get into. I tried to pull some alpha from them. They kind of gave us some stuff. They were awesome. And yeah, we talked a lot about anime, to be honest, but also like they were just chatting with us. One issue that I did want to bring up, and maybe this is a great segue here because Blockchain Player 1 is asking this, is how the hell is my common monk supposed to deal with this? And something we did talk about with them, because Workhorse made it clear, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, but like Workhorse really stressed it in this interview. He wants this game to be an esport. He wants it to be a spectators sitting on the sideline cheering when
you heard him say
happen.
Like there's moves he has in the skill tree that are meant to be esports moments.
Right. Like he wants that big dramatic. I mean, I don't know if you guys know. I wish I knew the reference, but it was a fighting game clip that was on YouTube a while ago, and like the guy blocked every move in a combo. And like
from the Street Fighter 2 tournament.
Yeah, like the crowd goes insane, like in the background, because they realize like every time the guy's hitting punch, like the guy's countering it exactly. Like it's like an insane video. Everybody look it up. I don't know what it is. Somebody find it for me.
I'll find it for you real quick.
Yeah, but like he wants that to be a like DFK, which like 100% I want that too. Like that'll be amazing. And so something we talked about was like the competitiveness of it, and will commons and uncommons be able to compete with the higher level, Dread Knights or mythic levels of all the classes. And Blockchain Player 1, my answer to you is kind of like, you're going to struggle. Your common knight, your common monk is going to struggle. It's not going to be an even competition. You're going to have to be clever if you want your commons to compete, is what I gathered from that conversation. I mean, Wowee, any thoughts on specifically like the commons versus mythics, in that conversation?
Share my screen too, by the way.
All right, so on commons versus mythics, it's gonna be, unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a cakewalk for the common owner,
No,
and it's
it's not.
going to be completely and utterly in favor for the mythic owner.
Yeah.
We are talking about what the mythic, just in general, right? Over the common, what do they get? They
Stats.
get
Insane stats.
but they get what, plus 10 bonus stats every 5 levels.
Yeah.
So by the time you're level 100, you're looking at a mythic versus a common, with a mythic that has 200 bonus stats on top of what that common could have possibly gone for, right? Now, I mean, yeah, there's other things that can, like, you can argue a value assessment for, like, the mythic has all common traits, and I got decked out on my common, and I've got, last stand. I got, let's say I got double last stand and double second life, right? So it's just this like insanely unkillable piece, right? There are moments like that, but you have to equate out your I don't really have a word for it yet, but it is a value assessment
Right.
of like pure power. Like how much of a stat point is equal to a advanced trait or an elite trait? Like how many stats would probably make up for that difference? I can't really tell you, especially by level 100. But what I can tell you is if that mythic also has advanced, elite, transcendent, or exalted abilities, it's just going to be that much harder. Like a mythic with second life, you have to kill that boss monster twice now.
Guy just had it up. I think it's a legendary, right?
Oh, is it O'Cool's?
There's only one double second life.
Yeah, I think
legendary.
It's O'Cool's.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Summoner
it. I thought
Ninja.
O'Cool had a double second life.
This is probably
Bard.
O'Cool's. No, purple printer.
So I was only looking at rare plus to add to your point of rarity plus second life.
Yeah.
There are 3 heroes that have double second life. And O'Cool has a resurrection on his.
Yeah, he's got he's got the
but it's a common.
Wild.
See, that common is going to be like what you're talking about, let's say second life is like worth 50 stats. Right. I'm just throwing that out there, but like that makes that common comparable to a mythic. You know what I mean?
And it also depends, right, on where you get your bonus stats allocated. Typically, we're looking at like what, 200 divided by 8 stats. We're looking at if it's perfectly scattered out, we're looking at 25 additional stats on every single on every single stat for
greater
a character here. And that's not very. That's not that great, right? But I mean, if you level up really well and you just happen to hit it good, and you're on your Dread Knight, you're on your Mythic Dread Knight, and you've hit like strength as you're like plus 4 on every level 5, right? And now you're sitting there at 40 plus on your strength on anything else would be, right? So you're sitting there with like 350 strength at level 100, and you're like, well, I can just one hit whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
Does that equate out to the double second life Bard right there?
And I feel like we're not gonna know how hard the stats hit until we get those formulas, until we actually get like PvP. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna know, or at least what they're giving us right now. Like we're not gonna know. Like we need to actually see it live with the actual formulas in place before we can say definitively like 10 stats or have a value of 1 advanced trait. We're not going to be able to do that for a long time, I think.
And whenever you talk about like PvP scaling and whatnot, you're going to have different MMR ratings of matchmaking and tier levels. But the other thing that I think they said a couple times last night was there's going to be a tournament and a skill level for everyone.
Yes.
There's going to be common-based tournaments. There's going to be top-tier tournaments. There might be monk-only tournaments. There might be tournaments that genes don't matter. Like there's a way to kind of balance it all that everyone can find their own niche and their own progression level in the game that's appropriate for them.
100%.
True. I mean, and if we want to go further into like speculative territory, I mean, what if rarity is only like 1/5 of what we have to consider when we're talking about a good PvP unit? You know, how much is the kit worth of a main class subclass?
Yep.
Right? How much is the advanced elite or exalted class worth on top of rarity? And what about the punchiness of the gear I'm wielding?
Yeah.
Right? If I've got a mythic sword, if I've got the mythic sword, sword of fire on my uncommon monk with second life,
of course,
I might be able to take down a mythic.
Well, I mean, so I 100% agree with that, and I think equipment is going to be massive, and they've alluded to that too. I do want to talk about this. So Marcus Taylor, which is a new name in the chat, I'm loving it. Marcus, what's up? This comment is interesting, and I want to hear, especially both you guys, because I think, like Guy, Wowee, I know you're like into the scene too, but Guy, I'm very curious on your opinion here. He's saying no game that desires to be an esport ever just became an esport. You know, we gotta hope the PvP is fun, and then the esport stuff will come later. Do you think they can design it to be an esport? I mean, are any games that you know of? Does for the first one that pops into my head is Rocket League, because Rocket League just seems like it's a spectator sport because it's like super fun and goofy and annoying.
Yep.
But do you think they can build it with the hopes of it being an esport? You know, just straight off the bat. You know what I mean? Where like, regardless of whether it, you know, works out or not, like their hopes are esport, you know, and you think you could be successful in doing that, or do you have to build a fun game first and then maybe it becomes an esport, you know?
And I think that's the game design can definitely be a factor into, is it an esport or is it not?
Sure.
Because like, if you're just going to create like an RPG based game and a PvE game, like open world environment, and go venture into the world and do all these quests and do all these things, that's obviously a very different path than trying to build a game that's appropriate for esports.
Right.
There's a lot of combat based games that are 100% based off of like going down the esports path. But to hit his second part of that question, can you be pay to win and also be an esport? I think that's an interesting topic to hit too.
I mean, we're looking at something like Hearthstone in that case.
But there's no blockchain pay to win kind of aspect in that game, you know?
True, but I think like the spirit of what he's talking about is like in a pay to win environment, you're looking at people that are able to play the game versus people that can play the game. Right. So if you've got this like a $70 game that drops and I have to pay, you know, $20 a month, just FYI, like just for example, if I have to pay $20 a month, or if like the best gear that I could possibly get is behind like either a giant wall of work and RNG or $50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's the big difference of accessibility, right? When it comes to
how like, and maybe you guys can answer this or not, but like I don't know much about EVE Online, but if I wanted to jump in and be competitive in EVE Online, how much money do I have to drop right off the bat? You know what I mean? Like I'm assuming it's significant. Like
I would assume as well. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I haven't played that game, but I know that people like buy crazy. This was the clip I was talking about. Yeah. Wow, we found it for me. But I mean, yeah, like if you want to be competitive in EVE, like I know you have to drop a stupid amount of money right now, and like there's no play to earn or you know,
which I mean is terrible for that ecosystem.
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, if it's fun and you like it and you get that satisfaction of winning.
But
good for
how
you.
does the
good
onboarding,
for you. Yeah.
how does onboarding like casual players work at that point, though? You know what I mean? Is a casual player even valued at that point?
I'm sure they have like zones, or at least I would hope that's how they do it. Of like, this area is, you know, capped at whatever. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, the spirit. I mean, the spirit of the question is or the comment is really, really, really well put. because when a game starts off like we want to be an esports game, like when you hear that, you think like, okay, we're going to talk about like Blizzard Activision games, right? Sure. Like Overwatch was literally created to be an esports game. I mean, they did pretty dang good for a while, right? Like that was their whole goal, was to make an esports game. And it wasn't pay to win. Right. Because you just bought the game and everyone had access to everything right off the bat.
Right.
It's not so much the case anymore. Right, they're starting to dial it back. They're starting to go towards the battle passes, and not everyone's getting the exact same access to the same things that everybody else is getting, and it's making it clunkier. Right, it's making it clunkier. It's making it less fluid and dynamic for people to be able to just jump in, do what they want, and have fun. Right, so that takes away from the competitive scene, where these normal casual players wouldn't be competing at that level, but because they're having fun with this medium, they're interested in watching the outcome of it. And
that goes back. I mean, this conversation is going in circles, and I understand that, but that goes back to what he was saying of like, you can't make an esport game. You can make a fun game, that might become an esport game, and I think that's what they're doing, and I think. And you're right. And I think going back to Marcus, maybe your point is right off the bat, is that you cannot just create a game that's an esport game. You have to create a good game, a fun game, and the esport, it will happen. If you build it, they will come situation. Like if it's fun and if it's exciting and if people care, then it will become this popular esport thing. I think it's going to be hard to from scratch create an esport game,
Yeah, I think the thing that's as I'm kind of listening to us talk through it, of you talk about like the NFTs and the cost of building a team, and like we just looked at, like, you can count on your fingers how many double Second Life heroes exist.
Right. Yeah.
Second Life's not a perfect example, but we're all gonna have our go-to squads. And there's probably going to be natural counters in the game that I can see a really interesting just overall PvP environment being developed. Because Wowee has his Dragoon and Dread Knight team that maybe I need a knight to counter that because it's an all physical damage based team. And Wowee's rolling out that squad. So if I want to try to build a counter team around that, that's one of those things that like could create a whole interesting thing in the ecosystem that really doesn't exist in a lot of these other core games. But they could just add more elements to the gameplay here.
100%. I think that's, and Wowee, I think you'll agree with me. Like there's a couple games right now. I think like Hearthstone is a good example. And I don't know others, but I know they exist, where like there's like weekly meta reports where like commentators, third party people are commentating on the meta of the past week, and I think that 100% could exist for DFK. You know,
100%.
Where like there's multiple outlets saying, this is what we're seeing, these are the numbers, and also because it's on the blockchain, we're gonna have much more accurate numbers than whatever like other games have, because we're gonna know like the exact
we're gonna have pure data.
Each NFT, even their skills, their like stats, like we're gonna know exactly what's going on, and smart people, not me, smart people are gonna be able to print out reports of like weekly metas of like which heroes are more popular than others, and it's gonna be super fun because it's gonna be a live thing.
Yeah, what's the weekly printout and how do I counter it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be honest, it could be even more. It could be daily. Like literally, we could do like a daily breakdown of like the meta. Like, because it's all on the blockchain. We have this info. Like, and that's the beauty
you're not
of
wrong.
Like,
and to use Hearthstone as an example, like I used to watch competitive Hearthstone a lot, like way too much.
Loved it. Yeah,
and
me too.
The whole thing about the meta.
Team. Fuck, I forget
from
the name.
Team Solomid.
Yeah, no, the guy who played Priest. I love the guy who played Priest. I forget his name.
Oh, Priest.
I know. Nobody liked Priest, and he played Priest, and it was awesome. And I loved him. Amaz. I think his name was Amaz.
Oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. But like I would watch it. I would watch the competitive scene really, really, really closely. And something that they would always talk about is like it depends on not just the decks you're playing, but who's online at that time. Because like if you're on East Coast and you're playing between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m., that's when all of the best East Coast people are going to be online. He's like, if you want to climb through the ranks, play when the best people aren't.
We used to play a lot of Gods Unchained, and that's exactly how I feel that once you get up to those top tiers of the rankings in Gods Unchained, like you pretty much know based on your time of day who you're going to run up to and what deck they have.
Yeah. And also, well, side note on this whole conversation, and I want, well, and Franz, hopefully he'll watch this, but I am very curious now, especially with the Dragon's Crossing thing. Franz just beat the final boss, and he was the first one to do it, but there's still this window where others could hypothetically beat him. I'm gonna be very interested in seeing, what is the final number of people that beat that final boss, and how did they do it differently than he did? You know what I mean? Because right now there's only what 900-ish heroes at play. So like there's going to be a very finite number. And I think DFK, I think there's going to be more, but like it's going to be a similar situation where you can, I think right now we can already see it, Baka, Shock Velo, Okul. We already know that there's Pouring. There's a handful of whales who are going to have those top tier heroes. And if you're going to be close to competing with them, it's going to be interesting to assess what they have and what they're putting out there and maybe counter it specifically based on what they have,
Right.
But yeah, same thing with like the Dragon's Crossing thing. Like I'm curious if Franz will change his strategy next season. Based on who else is at the top with him.
Right. And then it's who got there the quickest path, what class was that? You've already seen it in Dragon's Crossing. There's 3 classes. It looks like Warrior is slightly OP compared to,
which makes sense.
To mages, and then Rangers are really lagging. Because Rangers have like a high damage rating, but also their top defense rate is dodge.
Yeah.
But like if you get 2 or 3 bad dodges in a row, all of a sudden 40% of your health is gone.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Like even a simple game like that will have balancing mechanics that they'll need to build into it.
But I also think I love the idea of like this is all on the blockchain. This is all recorded. Like we're going to have this information available, and it's available in other games. I'm not trying to say like this isn't.
Yeah, like APIs are a thing, Matty.
Right. But like I feel like specifically with the blockchain, like it's going to be much clearer and like much more reliable. Of like this is what happened for sure. Like what I mean? It's and it gets me excited about it because I think that's this super fun idea of like being able to assess the like macro stuff based on what we're seeing, Yeah,
it would be fun. Yeah, seeing like these third-party devs that have these sites built.
Yeah. Or iOS code was in the chat, like his like DFK history, like showing the level ups and stuff like that. Like all that stuff is like super cool because it's blockchain,
Yep.
Well, I think that's API still, but whatever. You know what I mean? All right. That was a random tangent, but
we're good for those.
Yeah.
I think it was a healthy one though.
Yeah, it was. Let's get into last night. Hubert and Workhorse were live with myself and Wowee. Wowee, give me your just like in general response right now. Mine is just 10 out of 10. Had super fun. These guys are nerds like me, and I love them. But like, give me your general response.
Honestly, verbatim, I would say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I could just sum it up into one little key, sound bite, it would be, the sound of my mind literally being blown. Like, it was just super fun. You could probably tell in the beginning, like I was a little bit of a nervous wreck. I don't know why. Yeah. I was a little starstruck, to be completely honest. We got the guys, we got the boys.
It helps when Workhorse Ian, I'm gonna say Ian, like he's such a goofball. Like
he's so
like,
chill.
Amazing. Yeah. Like
his inner like goblin makes me feel okay with also being a goblin. Like
yeah.
Was there anything the two of them said yesterday that surprised you?
Oh jeez. I feel like yes.
Yeah, nothing like crazy. Nothing like the.
But yeah.
Well, I will say the one thing that was super cool, and I tried to express it live, but like was like fumbled a little bit. But so they said like when Workhorse first started, like they had this like meeting. They had a meeting. They had this like legendary. In my mind, it's a legendary meeting where they sat
Ocean's
down.
11 style.
Yeah, they sat down for the first time.
Hubert took out his 7 textbooks of what he's documented over the years of this creation.
He laid down his tomes and they slammed down on the table. And he like read Workhorse like what the roadmap is actually, like what the actual plan is, and like this like knowledge just flowed out of him into Workhorse, and like I was kind of blown away that like not that I didn't like, not that I thought they weren't talking to Wisdom that like openly, but like it does seem like they're just completely open with the Wisdom guys of just like here's everything, like here it is, like like they are not. Like there is no separation. Like Wisdom is Kingdom Studios is Wisdom. Like they are.
Yeah, it's like a wing.
Yeah, exactly. Like they are one and the same. But yeah, I think that was interesting. That idea of like the fact that they laid out kind of the future. You know,
and like we always hear them say in the AMA, it's like, yeah, we're building. But then to hear Workhorse and Hubert and go like, yeah, we had a meeting about how much there is to build, and then we built it to see how it would work, and now we're fine-tuning all of it, and it's taken months and months and months and months to just get to the point we're at now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that just made me so excited for the future to come. I mean, well, we look at the roadmap and it says PvP is on the like next up to-do list, which tells me, I mean, like that's quarter to 2 quarters. Yeah. That's crypto soon to me on coming next.
I don't think that's out of the reality, but I'm also like, I'm going to temper my, we'll see. I don't know.
I will not. I will be excited as hell and remain there for months.
I mean, yeah. I think I also too, just like big general notes on it. I think too, just like similar stuff of like, and also I mean, this isn't unique, but like, and maybe I should have assumed this, but like these guys are just like I don't know. I don't want to say they're like us because like that's like a weird statement to make, but like they're just nerds and like just like chill guys. So I think that was like definitely reassuring that it's they're on the same wavelength.
They're not some big corporation that's got a money motive of like they want to create this thing that they want other people to play. Exactly. I think one of you asked Hubert of like, like what's the thing you're looking forward to the most? And it was like being able to see the player interactions of like people playing and progressing in these tournaments and these matches and things like that.
Yeah, I want to appreciate
they want the same stuff we do. Like,
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it when they were like, "Yeah, we're very aware of the wins and we love them."
Yeah, that was super interesting. I really Hubert was quiet on that. But Workhorse said like it keeps him in check in terms of like making sure he's getting his stuff done, like hitting deadlines, and it's
like an ultimate accountability, and you can tell like they're passionate about it. They look at it as motivation and not like a nagging.
Right. Well, at least that's what Workhorse said. Hubert was quiet on that, but yeah. All right. So that was like big picture. I do want to bring up a couple like really specific things. This is more general, but the Drunken Master talk was amazing. I looked up. I have not actually watched Drunken Master, the Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
I know, and I looked up a bunch of clips like today and late last night, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!" like just watching some of the fight scenes, I was like, "This is so much fun." Like, you don't even need to know what's going on in the movie. Just watching the fight scenes, you're like, oh my God, I love it. Like, but the fact that Hubert told Workhorse he had to watch that movie to make the class is insane. Like, and I love that idea. Like, hey, for your work assignment, you have to go watch a movie. Like,
I think that's what they've been doing for a lot of them. Like,
I know, yeah.
Like what Legionnaire, they said that the creator watched like 300 a bunch of times and just like started writing down every idea he got from it.
Makes sense. And that makes sense for like that one. Yeah, there's the flavor text where it's like, drop your helmet because you have to throw your spear better or something like that. like that's literally in the movie. Yeah. So like, yeah, like, again, it goes back to the whole thing of like, these guys are just like goofy nerds who are making a game, and that just makes me so happy. Like, I love it.
You know, it's gonna have heart because of that. Like, it's not gonna just be like, okay, we finally got our hands on it, and it's a janky, piece of crap because they had to push something out for a deadline to meet a monetary quota. To Guy Kid's point, like, they're not solely money motivated.
No. Yeah,
like Workhorse was talking about, like, he was taking it upon himself to build an auto chess version of DefiKingdoms by himself, without DFK like even knowing about it. And then he got together with them and scrapped that idea and started with the actual game that they're making now.
Which I still want to play that auto chess game.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
I know. That'd be super fucking cool. Like, your heroes, and you put them out there and they just go. Oh, that would be cool. Yes, very interesting. Also, so on that same point about, like, very interesting comment from Hubert. He wants it to be close to real life, and he's like, I know it's a game with magic and spells, but like, that was what they were talking about with the taunt stuff, and why taunt is like a debuff rather than one hero having the ability. It's like, it's a negative on the other ones. And he was like, that makes sense for like real life, is that if you are taunted, you have to attack that one guy because you're like focused in on him. And the idea that like that decision was made because that makes more sense in real life is just like, oh, chef's kiss. Like, I love it. Like, that is just excellent. I love it. I don't know. Wowee, did you think anything like that other than
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely loved it, because I mean, they're not just making a high fantasy game, right? They're making a game that makes sense. They want the world to make sense first, and then they're throwing fantasy on top, right? As fluff, as filler, and I just can't get enough of it. Because everyone saw when the first class get released, which was the Berserker preview. And Ian was going in like
the background,
like, here's the historical significance of each class tree that we're choosing and why. Like, they're making it make sense. They're making it familiar. They're giving everything a soul, and like, I'm here for it. It just makes sense. It makes me feel good about the project.
Oh, 100%. I think well, we already talked about the wens and how they are very aware of the wens. They made that comment. But I did want to bring up one like very specific thing that they talked about, which was the seer. So I asked them a question about this one seer move, which is restore the timeline, which is change the health of your opponent to what it was last round. And I said, if your opponent was resurrected the round before, does that go back to killing him? And they said, no, it does not go back to killing him, because it's two different statuses. What's statuses? What's the plural for status?
Staties.
Statusi. So the actual individual like thing doesn't really matter, but the effect of this in my mind is really interesting, because it means a character being dead and a character at 0 hit points are two different statuses. Again, statusi, I'm not sure. Staties. And also, makes more sense for the monk like the capstone ability. But in general, this was like a little bit of alpha that I thought was interesting in terms of death. Death is a status that a hero has
that can be cured.
That can, yes, but 0 hit points is not the status of death. Does that make sense? Like it's a separate 0 hit points.
0 hit points triggers it.
Right. Yes, that's the right way to say it. Like 0 hit points then moves him into the death status, but it's 2 different categories, which I found interesting, and is going to be interesting for like healing spells and sort of like revive or resurrection.
Well, there's a lot of shield based moves too.
Right. Yeah. Like if the underlying guy hits 0 versus, yeah. Did you pull any other alpha from them? Wowee, like when we were chatting.
I mean, I specifically tried to not wrench alpha from them because I didn't want them. I didn't want the feeling of them being threatened in our presence. You know what I mean? Whatever. Like I want them to come back.
They're not. They don't. Come on. They don't.
I don't want to actually trick them into something they're not allowed to say. But that being said, their little Dread Knight comment. I mean,
yeah, that was interesting.
They said it as a joke. I mean, it's like, it'll instill dread. And we were like, oh, cause that could totally mean
fear?
Question mark? Confusion status?
Yeah.
But then, this is specifically why I brought up the anime thing. Not only just to get you some decent recommendations, because I knew that they're true weebs like myself. But I wanted to ask the question of which classes do take the most inspiration from your favorite anime, and he gave us that the Dread Knight is light well, not light. I almost said Light Yagami, but that's not the one.
No, it was Dark.
What's his name from Black Clover?
Yeah, Black Clover.
Oh, jeez. Why can't I remember?
Yami. Yeah.
Yami from Black Clover, which is he's a dude with a big sword, right? He's big, big strong dude, big sword guy. But his main whole deal is it's darkness, right? His magic is all dealing with darkness and tearing the fabric of space-time, right?
Okay.
Like he can cut anything because he's going in between light. That's the idea.
Oh shit, that's cool. Like anywhere darkness goes, he can.
Right. Kind of.
There's again, you got to read Wheel of Time. There's a whole bad guy that's based on that. And it's like, if you go into the shadow, you're in their realm, and basically they own you if you go into the shadow.
Interesting.
And
how many books on describing that? Is that 3 books, 4 books?
Well, you don't get that. It gets introduced in one book, and then you don't get the answer till 5 books later. But I also Tolls for the called it out before you said it, even though chat is behind.
Points for Tolls.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that idea of Shadow Warrior is kind of like a trope saying that, but that idea of you own the shadows, or that is where you're that is your realm that you control / dominate, that's very cool. And I think that's makes sense for Dread Knight. Makes sense. Dread.
Yeah. Didn't Workhorse also tease that he's already taken a stab at the Dread Knight skill tree?
Oh, I
want to say that they're pretty much fleshed out, and then they go and sit down and they really talk about each class before they come out with it.
I think it wasn't. I can't say it's confirmed, obviously, but I think it's quite clear they have a picture of it at this point, and he hinted at that of oh, that's that one Dread Knight move, and he's like, oh, I meant priest. I think they have it down, or not down, but they have at least a pencil version of it,
Right. And it's just it's all kind of on their plate till it gets approved, stamp of approval from Hubert, that then it goes to the developers and the production side. Right.
Well, I actually am curious on how many. By the way, I'm watching these summons. There's a rare. Did it hit any abilities? Ooh, second win.
That was a resurrection.
Hell yeah.
Well, still,
you didn't lose it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't lose it. That's the important piece.
I had an important thing I was going to say. It was like really smart and funny, and everyone would have loved it, but I forget what I was going to say.
I'm applauding for you already. That would have been so great.
Yeah. No, I think they are definitely. I think they have drafts of every single class, Dread Knight included.
I mean, they did throw out some shapeshifter a long time ago, as well as Paladin.
Well, yeah, Paladin. Wait, when did they give shapeshifter hints?
They gave shapeshifter hints a while. I think in February.
Oh, right. They he said something in like a chaos cast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went.
Yeah, so I think they have drafts of every class. I think. Well, that was something they talked about too about Monk. They said like Monk had the most iteration. Another rare Dark Knight.
Woo! Is that a 5 out of 5?
That's a 5 out of 5.
Wow!
Hell yeah!
Only summon number 2, double advanced.
Double advanced. Toxic too. I love. Toxic.
I was actually going for. I kind of got it. The main thing I'm going for this build is a blue enchanting with light.
With the matching.
So I'll take the one enchanting with light, which is pretty good.
That's a good.
And
hit.
I'll take a rare Dark Knight with double advanced. That's a good.
Yeah. SI saying those old shapeshifter tips are probably dated. I kind of agree. Like that was a while ago. Yeah.
I would agree, but they didn't really tell us what like mechanics the abilities would have, but they told us the spirit of what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of stays with it. Like they want like a bear form to be like a bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tanky, bulky, strong as hell.
I am. Yeah, shapeshifter literally is one of the few classes where I'm like, you could throw anything at me, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense because like it could be anything. Like Bard, I feel like there is a range.
Be a Bard.
Like, yeah, exactly. Shapeshifter could be a Bard. Like Bard, there's a range. Ninja, it's a little bit wider range, but there's still, you know what I mean? Like there's I get it.
Ooh.
Paladin.
What if shapeshifter? What if shapeshifter has the ability to like copy other class abilities?
Oh, that'd be super cool.
Like a copycat move. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's almost getting into the like doppelganger. Like it's a different thing than a shapeshifter, but
I mean,
Ditto, right? Is that the
Pokemon? Pokemon Ditto.
The Ditto that literally transforms into any other thing. Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's a different thing than shapeshifter. But also, I'm getting nitpicky. You know, whatever.
And yes, hard rip to Here's the Storm. I gotta pour one out for the homies over there.
Why? What happened?
Heroes of the Storm was like it was Blizzard Activision trying to create a.
Does it no longer exist?
It still exists. It's just not like supported anymore. They're not actively developing it anymore.
Yeah.
But it was made to be like a competitor to League of Legends, where they were pulling from all of their games and making a sweet MOBA. But it just, for some reason, I don't know why, it just never clicked with the public. And
weird.
Yeah, and they just decided.
It's weird that everybody fucking ate up Hearthstone. Like everybody loves Hearthstone, but what is this?
Another one.
Wow,
Woo!
hits on a Dark Knight.
Hits on hits over here with a guy kid.
That's a good one.
Ooh, blue decks. I like it. What do we got? Ooh.
So what's crazy about that other Dark Knight? One of the ability mutations was like a 4% chance.
Oh, it wasn't.
So I got the Dark Knight mutation. It was like a secondary.
I
got the 14% ability mutation, and I got like a 4% chance one.
Nice.
So that Dark Knight, the other Dark Knight hit was really good.
That was a rare too, right?
Either.
Yeah. What are we doing here? Are we selling or are we keeping these?
Gifting?
I'm not that generous.
Shout out to Mythic Squad who gives away everything, apparently.
I still don't have. I haven't summoned my own Dread, so I kind of want to build that up. I've got a couple 5/5 Dark Knights now, so I got to go find some Paladins, and I've got a good chunk of Goons, but no Dreads yet.
Interesting.
Ooh, I did want to ask. I wanted to ask Guy Kid about this guy. I think he'd have a pretty interesting opinion on it. But there was one part about when we were talking about the priest and we were talking about the miracles in their skill tree. as they were separate from the original 3, right? And Workhorse basically said, like, you're going to have to earn the ability to use those, which to me sounds like they were saying there is going to be mid-combat mini quests or objectives to complete before you could use these super giant ultra omega moves. Like, I really want to hear your opinion on it.
Now, what could the ability to reward a miracle be? Could it be healing your teammates a certain number of times? Could it be your team HP needs to be under a certain threshold?
Or I think it would be more random than that of like heal your ally to full. You know what I mean? Like get the specific amount to full, or crit heal,
overheal your ally,
overheal. Yeah.
You can't use this until somebody on your team dies.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that. Like, I think it needs to be like unique. It needs to be unique things like overheal or like critical hit on an attack or something like that.
Well, so that's where my mind goes of like, I like the whole mini game mentality, Wowee.
Yeah.
But the wizard build is more deliberate than that, right?
Oh,
like you've almost got your own bar that you need to build
100%.
up throughout.
It's like a mini economy.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't sound like it sounds like the miracle is a very different dynamic than what's in place for wizard, though.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think
different, but somehow similar.
Well, I was gonna say it's interesting. Again, pre subclass, if you have miracle as one of your skills, which again is gonna be difficult because they're all 10 level, so it would take up most of your subclass points. But if you did, are you able to complete those mini games as a wizard sub or priest subclass?
Are you going to be able to generate those miracle abilities? Yeah.
But what's then? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Yeah.
Are they 10 in the skill tree?
Yeah, they're like tier 10. They're worth 10 skill points. Yeah. So like they're expensive. Well, that's everyone tune in to another Wowee podcast where we're going to explain that Wowee's got. I don't even know how you want to talk about it. When I say expensive, I need to rephrase how I say that, right?
I wouldn't call it high budget.
Well, no, but like there's a whole new account of how we have been thinking about the skill points. Like,
yes, and I will be going over that extremely extensively.
Yeah.
Workhorse messaged me on Discord.
Yeah.
Let's see, like the day after our pod. He was like, I got to clear something up. Like the 10 plus skills aren't exactly what you think they are in terms of value assignment. And I was like, oh, really? How's this? Is this true? And he's like, yeah, that's more how it works. And I was like, oh my God. Whoa, hold on. Yeah. And I sent Matty like
a lot
wall of text.
It was like math and equations, and I was like, Wowee, what are you sending me right now?
But yeah, I will be showcasing all of that also, next Monday.
Wowee, I have to interrupt you. Guy, I don't know if this is... Do you know you're on stream still?
Oh, am I streaming?
Oops. Yeah.
What is
this is live. I don't know if this is ready to be live yet. Is it?
It's not. Intern, we still have some pink in the main imaging of the screen.
I don't think you should even be showing this right now. People.
He gave me permission.
Okay.
So the intern's been building in the background. He's aspired to build a tower defense game.
What?
So
yeah,
he's been fooling around with some game mechanics and looking at what he can pull off the blockchain from a developer perspective. Very, very early.
Yes.
I don't think this start round button
ready
does
to be shown
anything.
Right now. Yeah. But basically, the idea is a tower defense where you use your heroes your NFT heroes can then jump in and be the tower defense, and you assign them where they will battle the onslaught that comes.
That's pretty freaking cool.
It's very cool. And again, I didn't think it was ready for public knowledge, but
I like the pink.
Yeah, I like the pink. It adds a good touch to it. So is the pink intentional is all I want to know.
Needs a little smiley face in it.
Yeah. But yeah, I like what he's kind of got going on here. It's pretty cool.
And then each class has like abilities they can do. God.
another thing we need to learn.
Guys, we call him Bogside Intern, but he's actually a dev. Like he's a really smart dude. Like
this is his little pet project. Yeah. This is what he does for fun.
Yeah.
Also, I ask him when many times.
You should have told me. You should have put this on the agenda. We were going to talk about that.
We're
not. Are we done talking about it? Is that it?
Yeah. We've moved on. Okay. he gets his 2 minutes of fame, and that's all we account for. Yeah. What's the segments called of the pod?
The meter's up.
Yeah, exactly.
Intern. We've told you several times.
Get him a raise.
Come on to the pod and talk to us. You don't have to show your face. You can do Wowee. Just put a little image up, and you'll be great.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I mean, Workhorse convinced me. And if any whales that are listening right now, if you pump Jewel to $1, I'll do face reveal.
Jewel. All right. Yeah. I love that Bogside. No, Bogside gets to claim this. You heard it here first on Bogside. Jewel gets to $1. We get the Wowee face reveal.
I cannot wait to disappoint each and every one of you.
He looks like the rest of us. Anyways, this has been super fun. Final thoughts on the interview yesterday. Any other PvP thoughts, Wowee? Give us your closing argument here.
My takeaway from this, I mean, number one, it was super cool. It was awesome. I want to do it every week. I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. I'd kick you off and then bring them on every week if I could, just to talk about it. But
agreed.
I don't think they got the time for it. So
yeah,
you get to stay around. But I think my big takeaway from it is PvP is going to be a very small portion of the game. I think it's going to be way more complicated than we're giving it credit for already.
We do hours and upon hours of streaming. We think it's going to be complicated.
Get ready for when gear gets involved in this stuff as well, because there's going to be. I have a feeling there's going to be stats that are going to be on weapons and rings and gear and shields that we haven't even heard of yet. Because Hubert did drop that there's going to be flat bonuses as well as scaling percentage bonuses, and that has humongous implications to the complexity, especially when it comes to balance, because like you'd want the higher flat bonuses to your commons, but with your already highly statted mythics, you might want to go for the percent bonuses. I mean, it's going to be astronomically more complicated and way more fun than we're thinking about it. They've already got animations in mind. Oh my god! They want that when they said like we wanted that esports moment. To me, all that said was we're going to put quality in the game. It's gonna be quality first and foremost. That is that. I mean, to me, that meant the world. That meant the world. I'm super excited. I've never been more bullish on the game, to be honest. Than last night. Fair. No. And that's my small takeaway.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna clip that speech. That was incredible. And also same. I mean, I was super excited talking to them. I think maybe not as grandiose, but I will just say like talking to them, they're nerds. They're nerdy just like regular guys like we are, and that makes me so happy. And that makes me like believe in this game so much more. Cause like if they gave me some like bullshit like corporate like, hey, we're working on things, we'll let you know. Like that's not what they did. Like they were just
we're just building the bear, you know.
Yeah, like they said they were like, I made him watch Drunken Master before he made this monk. Like that's like weird ass shit that's like super funny and like genuine in my mind. So like the fact that they're nerdy guys and like we got to talk anime with them. Like that makes me more excited about it, you know.
Just guys being dudes, you know.
Exactly. All right, Guy. Last thoughts, comments. I mean, you. I think you said you listened to it. Any thoughts on last night?
It was great. Fun conversation, and it's like exactly like you guys said. Of like, I want to play a game that they're going to build, and that's the Bob Nothing was on a couple of podcasts where it's like he kept saying of like, you don't want to decentralize game development. I want to play what Hubert's building. And after yesterday's conversation, it's like I 100% feel that way.
Yes, very much so. I agree with that. Okay. Wowee, thank you so much for coming on. How can people find you? You're on Twitch. You post it back on YouTube, but talk to us about that.
Oh yeah, I'm all over the place. I think I'm one of, or maybe one of like two people that stream DFK content on Twitch. You can find me over at twitch.tv/0xwowee. We try to shoot for a Monday show every single week. Sometimes there's not a show. If there's, nothing to talk about. But every time there's a new class that comes out, Matty and I, we tear it apart. We're the official, unofficial QA crew for skill codices. And on the next day, I upload them to YouTube. You can find it at the same place. My name's the exact same over there. The interview was fantastic. I uploaded it immediately to YouTube. And you can find me over there at youtube.com/0xwowee, or you just find me in the search function. I'm the same on Twitter, 0xwowee. Come find me. I'm all over the place. And I mean, I talk PvP stuff. I talk theory. I love questions. And I'm just generally an excitable guy.
Excellent. That was perfect. Chef's kiss. All right. Well, this has been an episode of Bogside Chats. Wowee, thank you for being a guest. For Guy Kid, my name is Matty Pesk, and we will catch you guys next week.
See y'all
later.